Hi everyone, today our team Cutiepie will present about the topic ethics, law and e-commerce. First of all, I will introduce about my team which contains 6 members like me, Thùy Linh, Lan Hương, Gia Phong, Thu Lan and Mỹ Linh. So, let's move on table of contents. We have the part 1, understanding ethical, social and political ethics in e-commerce. Part 2, privacy and information rights. Part 3, rights of intellectual property protection. Part 4, governance. And last, Part 5, public safety and welfare. So, fourthly, Part 1, understanding ethical, social, and political issues in e-commerce. The Internet and its use in commerce have raised pervasive ethical, social, and political issues on the scale unprecedented for computer technology. Entire sections of daily newspaper and weekly magazines are devoted to the social impact of the Internet. But why is this so? Why is the Internet at the root of so many contemporary controversies? Some of the ethical, social, and political issues raised in each of the areas including the following. Fourthly, information rights. Next, property rights. Next, governance. And last, public safety and welfare. As an example, individuals discover that they can download perfect digital copy of music tracks, something which under the old technology of CDs would have been impossible. That can be done despite the fact that the music tracks still belongs as the legal master to the owner of the copyright musician and record label companies. I want to present the basic ethical concept. First of all, what is ethics? Ethics is the heart of social and political debates about the Internet. It's the study of principles that individual and organization can use to determine right and wrong courses of action. Responsibility. It means that every moral agents, individuals, organizations, and society are responsible for the action they take. Accountability. Accountability is means that individuals, organizations, and society should be held accountable to others for the consequences of their actions. Last, liability. Liability is a feature of political systems in which a body of law in place that permit individuals to recover the damages done to them by other actors, systems, or organizations. When confronted with the situation that seems to present ethical dilemma, how can you analyze and reason about the situation? The following is a 5-step process that should help. First, identify and clearly describe the facts. Secondly, define the conflict or dilemmas and identify the higher order value involved. Next, identify the stakeholders. The next, identify the options that you can reasonably take. Last, identify the potential consequences of your option. The next part I want to talking about candidate ethical principles. I have 8 principles. First of all, the golden rule. Secondly, universalism. Thirdly, slippery slope. Snake, collective utilitarian principle. Moreover, I have reached aversions. Besides 6, no free lunch. Number 7, the New York Times test. And the last 8, the social contract rule. That's all part 1, understanding ethical, social, and political issues in e-commerce.
And now is part 2, privacy and information rights. In ways not anticipated by technologists or politicians, this digital technology and device have become the primary means of personal interaction with other people and firms. In the fast-growing online marketplace for goods and services, these technologies efficiently and faithfully record human market behavior in ways never imagined. The resulting trove of personal private information gathered by online merchants has no precedent in history. Laws and regulations to govern the use of this information are weak and poorly defined. As a result, consumers often feel they have lost control over their personal information online. And next, I will talk about what is privacy. First of all, privacy is the moral right of individuals to be left alone, free from surveillance or interference from other individuals or organizations, including the state. And next is information privacy. This is a subset of privacy that rests on four central premises, including the moral right to control user information collected and to know whether information is being collected, the right to personal information due process, and the right to have personal information stored in secure manner. And right to be forgotten is the claim of individuals to be able to edit and delete personal information. And next, I will talk about privacy in public sector. The concept and practice of privacy and its legal foundation are very different in the public versus the private sector. In the private sector, concept of privacy is much more recent and integrated the internet in the state of a flux, debate, and argument. And in the United States, these claims were written into the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment granted citizens freedom of speech, association, and religion. The Fourth Amendment prohibits government action from unreasonable searches and seizure of citizen premises. Much later, the 14th Amendment prohibits states from passing laws that deprive persons of life, liberty, or property. And the word privacy is not mentioned in these founding documents, but it considered to be necessary for these amendments. However, the founding documents of the 18th century did not define the rights of individuals to their personal information collected by government agencies in the routine course of administration, or the rights of citizens to obtain documents created by government agencies. And in 1974, the US Congress passed an Omnibus Privacy Act, which for the first time defined the privacy rights of a citizen with the US federal government record system.
So now we come to the next part, which is privacy in the private sector, privacy rights of consumers. Firstly, information collected by website. Websites here are Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. Personally identifiable information, which is defined as any data that can be used to identify, locate, or contact an individual. Next, anonymous information is demographic and behavioral information that doesn't include any personal identifiers. Also, advertising networks and search engineers also check the behavior of consumers across thousands of popular sites, not just as one site via cookies, but because checking software, spyware, and other things. Secondly, marketing, profiling, behavioral targeting, retargeting. Retargeting billions of people around the world go online on an average day. The more precise and complete the information, the more valuable it is as a predictive and marketing tool. Secondly, profiling is the scrutiny of data image, which is a collection of data reports used to create behavioral profiles of consumers that characterize online individual and group behavior. Anonymous profiles identify people as belonging to highly specific and target groups, for example, 20 to 30-year-old males with college degrees and incomes greater than 50,000 a year and with interest in high fashion clothing. Personal profile at a personal email address, postal address, and phone number behavioral data. Behavioral targeting is the use of personal profile information to determine which ads a consumer will see online. Why you need to know about retargeting is the practice of showing consumers the same ad on many different websites they visit. For instance, if you use Google a search for new kitchen clothes, ask for kitchen clothes will follow you to Yahoo, Facebook, and thousands of other sites you browse. It has some benefits is that the consumer mostly sees advertisement for product and service. It has some criticisms to it that a violator rights the private experience and freedom when exploring the internet of private discrimination like gender discrimination. Thirdly, psychologists was privacy and self-regulation. The psychologists work pose a unique challenge for the maintenance of personal privacy because they are enforce people to reveal details about their personal lives. Finally, mobile device location-based privacy is uses. As you remember, we are connected with as mobile platform become more and more important. It you see about mobile and location-based privacy as also becoming a major concern. As a result, the US opened an investigation into the privacy policy of smartphone manufacturers in 2014, the Supreme Court, in a path-breaking unanimous decision, ruled that police needed a warrant period to searching a person's cell phone for information. Let's turn to next Israel's consumer privacy regulation, Federal Trade Commission (FTC). Now, the FTC is a cabinet-level agency charged with promoting the efficient functioning of the marketplace by protecting consumers from unfair or deceptive practices and increasing consumer choice by promoting competition. It has an information principle which is informed consent given with knowledge of all material facts needed to make a regulation decision. Informed consent has tomorrow opt-in and opt-out model. The opt-in model requires an affirmative action by the consumers to allow collection use of information. In opt-out models, the default is to collect information unless the consumer takes an affirmative action to bring the collection of data. Next, Consumer Privacy Regulation about Recommendation Commission (FCC). In 2015, the Internet Service Providers (ISPs) was suspended. The FCC requests the ISPs to notify users of privacy options by email on websites and to option user consent to collect this information and cannot damage servers to consumers who do not permit them to collect personal information. However, many US e-commerce agencies are willing to consent of informed consent and insist that recently published information is policy in terms of using policies on site, so most of us tend to address this term of use. Now, I would like to look at solution. Let's turn to next solution. Firstly, technological. Spyware, blocker, stop a broker, cookie miner, and scrape my email. We can use the application for protecting users' privacy with websites such as spyware, blockers, pop-up blockers, cookie managers, and secure emails. However, the most powerful tools for protecting privacy need to be into browsers. Secondly, privacy protections as a business. Firms sell products that they claim will help people protect their privacy based on the premise that people will pay to protect regulation. And finally, limitation to the right to privacy. So, consumers' online and mobile behavior, profiles and transactions are now digitally accessible to a wide range of government agencies and law enforcement authorities. In addition, government agencies are among the largest users of private sector commodity data brokers, such as Assassin, Experian, and TransUnion corporations, that collect a amount of information about consumers from various offline and online public sources.
3. Tip of intellectual property protection. There are four main types of intellectual property protection: copyright, patent, trademark law, and trade secret law. The role of intellectual property law is balance to competing in interests, the public and private. The public interest is serviced by the creation and distribution of invention, work of art, music, literature, and other forms of intellectual expression. The private interest is serviced by rewarding people for reading their work through the reason of a time-limited monopoly granting exclusive use to the creature. Uh, Copyright the problem of perfect copy and encryption. Look and feel copyright infringement lawsuit are hereditary about the distinction between an idea and its expression. Copyright like own right are not absolute. There are situations where strict copyright observance could be harmful to social. The Digital Millennium Copy Act of 1998 was the first major effort to adjust the copyright law of the United States to the Internet age and remain to this day the primary statute that defines the relationship between copyright owner. Pat- Patent within methods and process. There are four types of invention for which patent are granted under patent law: machine, man-made product, composition of master, and processing method. Trademark online infringement and dilution. A trace is any word, name, stipple, or device, or any combination thereof used in commerce to identify and distinguish goods for through manufacturer or sold by author, and to indicate the source of the good. Trademark law is a form of intellectual property protection. For trademark, a mark used to in, identify and distinguish goods and indicate their source. Trademark must be valued dictated by a firmly not in copyright patent or even trademark. There is a kind of intellectual property that has to do with business or usage, formula, and method of manufacture and service delivery for which the firm devices value and which is does not want to share with author in the form of patent application or copyright or application. This type of intellectual pro- property is referred to as trademark right. Trademark right differ from other copyright and patent protection because they may not be unique or novel. Challenge balancing the protection of property with other value. The challenge in intellectual property ethics and law is to ensure that the director for intellectual property can resell the benefit of their invention and work while also making it possible for their work and design to be disseminated and used by the widest possible
On my
audience.
part, I could talk about governance. Governance has to do with social control. Who will control the internet? Who control the processing of e-commerce, the content, and the activity? What element will we control, and how is the controls being implemented? A natural question arises and needs to be answered. Why do we as society need to control e-commerce? Because e-commerce and the internet so closely intertwined. Controlling e-commerce also involves regulating the internet. First, can the internet be controlled? Many people still contend the internet couldn't be controlled given inherent decentralized design, its ability cross borders, and its underlying packet switching technology that makes monitoring and controlling message content impossible. The fact that technically the internet is very easy to control, monitor, and regulate from central location, such as network access points, telecommunication firms, or agencies, fiber trunk lines, as well as servers and routers throughout the network. For example, in many countries like Thailand, China, Iran access the web control from government-owned centralized routers that direct traffic across their borders and within the country are vital, tightly regulated ISP operating within the country. Next, tax station. In both Europe and the United States, governments rarely assess taxes based on the type and values of goods. So in Europe, these taxes are collected along the entire value chain, including the final sales to the consumer, are called value-added taxes (VAT) in the United States. Taxes collected by states and localities final sales to consumers and occur consumption and use taxes. The development remote sales such as mail order, telephone orders, MOTO retail in the United States in the 1970s broke the relationship between physical business and commerce, complicating in the balance of state and local tax authority to tax or retail commerce. The explosive growth of e-commerce the latest ties remote sales has once again raised issue how and if to tax remote sales, leading to the fierce effect on e-commerce taxes between local retail merchants and e-commerce merchants. Final net neutrality. Net neutrality refers to the idea that ISP, including cable, internet, and wireless carriers, should treat all data on the internet in the same manner and, and not discriminate or price differently by content, protocol, platform, hardware, or application. ISP had long opposed the idea of net neutrality. ISP claimed they need to be able to manage the loss on their network to ensure stable service without blackout or slowdowns. Routine back-heavy users was necessary to manage network load. They also argue that heavy individual or business users should pay more than the average user at home who uses the web from email, web surfing, and e-commerce, all of which do not require a lot of bandwidth. Multiple the ISP claimed the FCC did have the authority to regulate ISP because ISP was defined by the FCC as common carriers like traditional telephone companies. ISP instead was classified in FCC regulation of the 1990s as information service in large part because the Internet at the time was considered to be an innovative provider of information that should be nurtured and not interfered with or regulated by FCC. The UN, when the FCC ruled that Internet broadband service providers rarely should be viewed as public utilities similar to the telephone companies and therefore should be regulated by the FCC in order to ensure fair access to all deployment of acceptable broadband service levels and competition among providers. This change reflected the fact that the Internet had evolved by 2015 into one of the primary telecommunication services in the country and the world necessary to the everyday life of millions of people, business, and governments, and therefore common carrier return to the operation of social society, just like railroad service. And this is my end of my first and meeting is next member.
Now I will talk about public safety and welfare. Government everywhere claim to pursue public safety, health, and welfare. This effort produces laws governing everything from ways and measures to national highways to the content of radio and television programs. In the United States, critical issues in e-commerce center, protection of children, strong sentiment against pornography, control gambling, protection of public health through restricting sales of drugs and cigarettes. Next, firstly, protecting children. Pornographic figures, Pornography is a hugely profitable internet business. According to reports, 30% of all web traffic to pornography sites is most likely false and lacks solid foundation. Pornographic material was found on 4% of the million most visited websites worth 2013. Sexual content was found in 14% of web searches worth 2013. Revenue from online pornography 10 to 12 billion in the United States each year, 97 billion in total. Next, efforts by government to control the internet as a pornographic dissemination medium. 1996, the United States Congress passes the Communication Decency Act (CDA), which is later overturned by the United States Supreme Court in 1997. 1996, the United States Congress passes the Child Pornography Prevention Act, which is later overturned by the United States Supreme Court in 2002. 1998, the United States Congress approved the Children's Online Protection Act (COPA), which was later overturned by the United States Supreme Court. 2001, the United States Congress approved the Children's Internet Protection Act (CIPA), which was later upheld by the United States Supreme Court in 2003. Efforts of other organizations. The Internet Watch Foundation is a private non-profit organization established in the United Kingdom. Mission to eliminate child pornography from the Internet. 200 corporate members in the Internet Foundation 2050, Facebook, Google, Twitter, BlackBerry, Dropbox, PayPal, and so on. Next, secrets, gambling, and drugs. Ideal for distribution over the internet through e-commerce sites because the site can be located offshore and they can operate beyond the jurisdiction of state and federal prosecutors. Firstly, secret effort to limit secret sales. State and federal prosecutors in United States shut down tax-free secret websites. Major shipping companies are under pressure to refuse untaxed secret shipments. Philip Morris committed not to distribute liquor to any reseller who were found to selling secrets equally over the internet or by mail. The Prevent Home Secret Tracking Act was enacted by Obama in 2010. The last gambling efforts to regulate gambling. The Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act of 2006 (UIGEA) was passed by United States Congress in 2006. The U.S. Department of Justice aggressively implemented the legislation denying offshore companies access to American payment networks, such as hurting their U.S. operation and arresting numerous executives. In the last 5 years, many states in the United States have authorized online gambling. Delaware, Nevada, New Jersey, legal online gambling, on the other hand, has fallen short of predictions thus far. Fantasy sport and betting are flourishing.